Ladies and gentlemen, this is Frank Donga, and you're listening to Boom Radio. Boom Radio. Keep listening. Don't touch it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Boomba right here on your Boom Radio NG. My name is Dolupo. I bid you a warm welcome to the bar and happy Independence Day for Nigerians, wherever you're watching us from or listening to us from. Happy Independence. I don't know if you are very into it, but it's just still Nigeria's independence. A lot of people might not see so much of it as a celebration today, but still, it is still a celebration of Nigeria's independence. So, welcome to the bar today. If you're just joining us for the very first time, I bid you a warm welcome. This is where we talk about everything sports, entertainment, politics, and everything else in between. My name is Dolupo. You know, the one and only. I am not alone in the studio today. As usual, I am in the studio with Sola Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is always a pleasure to be at the bar.
Okay, why is the table filled with the white green? Okay, I did not know that. I didn't even realize it until now. Anyway, as you can see, the table is all filled with green, white, green. So it's something that we cannot run away from. Today is Nigeria's independence. And basically, a lot of our conversation today will be basically about the gist today. President Tinubu's speech or things that he had talked about during his speech. And then a few other things and people's reactions to it. Protest people, because it's obvious that the issue of protests are not going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, that we're going to be talking about as well, and a few other things as the case may be. So sit back, relax as we enjoy today's show. Now, Nigeria at 64. That's basically what the conversation is today. Nigeria at 64. And we're going to start with President Tinubu and his speech. It's safe to say it's a normal thing, yeah. It's something that is expected. It's something we've been doing, or we've been witnessing from time immemorial, that presidents would have a speech in the morning, most likely around 7 a.m. on independence. That has been happening for months. So obviously he definitely had another speech again today, which a lot of people have had. And he has said a couple of things. He talked about in the insecurity and the strides that they have made as a government, and how the hundreds of terrorists and bandits that have been killed, the hundreds that have been that have surrendered. He talked about how he had promised that cost of living was going to come down, that it was needed. He did that. He understands people's plight, and is hoping that people would understand, but that things will get better soon. He also announced the convening of a 30-day national confab, which he said the modalities are going to be announced soon enough. So that we would find out what is what, when that is planning to happen. There is no particular date yet. Also, he had conferred national honors on a couple of people. We'll get around to that. At the same time, I think that he had also ordered security checks, not security now. I'm looking for the word actually. Integrity tests on all dams to prevent future flood disasters and all that. So yeah, that's kind of most of the things that President Tinubu had said.
Yeah. We couldn't. Let me say, I couldn't catch the speech live because there was no power and no petrol. So I am limited to reading the speech or listening to Boom Radio, and Dolupo would break it down the way she did. However, the main crux, or what one of the major takeaways, is President Tinubu's appeal for more time. And I just keep saying to myself, how long would it take? How long will it take for him? You know, how long would he keep pleading for time? I know that it takes a long time to get things sorted, you know, but how long will Nigerians be patient for? That's one of the biggest fears that I have for this situation that Nigeria is in at the moment. You know, like, oh, be patient with me. We're going to walk around all the problems. We're going to bring down the cost of living and all of that. Then you start to look at, how did we get here? I'm not talking about the previous getting here. It's the past 1 year plus of getting here under Tinubu's government that I'm referring to. The fact that that double head sword, that double whammy, you know, remove subsidy, float naira, has really punched a hole in a lot of Nigerian pockets. So I am really worried that, you know, people might lose patience, and then he's asking for patience every time he gets to speak to Nigerians. He's calling for Nigerians to be patient, and some people are just like on the edge. Now, it has nothing, what I'm saying has nothing to do with this protest, this Showare's protest, you know, Showare and Co. I'm talking about something that might be sparked off by the real and true frustrations of Nigerians when they get pushed to the wall. They say Nigerians break a hole and look for the next wall to get pushed to. But at this point, they might turn back. I am worried.
Okay. So basically, okay, I think that's one of the issues. Personally, for me, the honest truth is that when I read, to be honest, I did not follow that broadcast, not for anything I didn't even remember until like a few hours later. Anyway, the honest truth is that when you look at his speech, some of the things are actually right. When it comes to insecurity in Nigeria, there are a couple of things that the president himself, not the president, the armed forces, there's a lot of strides that has happened in the last couple of weeks and months. There's been, that we cannot deny. It's, I think we're getting somewhere. The Nigerian Army, the Air Force, the Navy, they're doing a lot with banditry, with insecurity. Also, when it even comes to oil bunkering and, you know, all those kind of things, I think that they're really they're doing a lot. We're not where we're supposed to be, but I think that it is getting better. The issue of, but the funny thing is that whether we like it or not, I'm not sure people care that much if they do not have food on their table. Basically, I think that's basically it.
You might want to rephrase. I know what you're saying, but I know what it sounds like.
Rephrase as how? I don't get it.
You're not sure people care that much if they don't have food on their tables.
Yes, no. So why am I rephrasing?
Okay. Whatever it is, though, speeches are meant to inspire and have you looking forward to something. The highlight of that speech is the talk about increasing pension for pensioners in Nigeria. I think they're adding about 32,000 naira or thereabout, right?
Yeah.
That's some good news. I hope they do it from today, since it's payday week now, Abby. And the minimum wage and all of those things, come into full effect. People get this monies that will give them succor. At least government workers, while the private sector is meant to key into it also. But the truth still remains that it's like making sacrifices. That you're making sacrifices, but my fear is that the sacrifices might come to naught if the government turns out not to be as sincere as they should be, and probably don't even know what they're doing. So I hope not. I hope they know what they're doing. I hope that we are truly on the right track.
Yeah,
to redirect this country.
That makes sense. Now,
there's something that someone sent today. We've seen it before, but today I actually took my time to read it again, and it was centered around why Nigeria is struggling, and why Nigeria has been struggling for decades. And it's simple. We became an import-dependent country. It's very simple. It's like, for instance, on your street, the people who are into petty trade or any form of services, the more you patronize them, the more income they have and the more capital that they can re-inject into their business. Mm-hmm. But if you have to drive out of your neighborhood to go and buy things all the time outside your neighborhood, it's that place that you're empowering. So the shop in your area that needs to employ 5 people will be stuck with just 1 because they can't expand. You have taken your business outside. And that's what Nigeria is doing. Please forgive me.
Okay, so basically you will see where that will go to, but I'm still talking about Nigeria's independence. The celebrations. President Tinubu has now conferred prestigious national awards on. So he has conferred national awards, GCON, on the Senate President and the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Then he has conferred CFR on the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Deputy Senate President, and CON on the Deputy Senate President. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Yeah, that's basically following in the tradition of the days past, where all those people in those positions are given national honors based on their position.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on their contributions. It's, because you're the Senate President, you're automatically entitled to become the GCON and all of that. Mm-hmm. So it's just politicians giving themselves a pat on the back, like, we try now, Abby.
Okay, so we're waiting, like President Tinubu's speech had said today. We're waiting on when this 30-day National Youth Confab is going to start, who is going to be eligible to attend, and all that. It's going to be very interesting. I'm actually very interested in that one. But
why do we need a 30-day National Youth Confab?
I don't know.
Why do we need a youth confab? Maybe because we need to get the youth involved more. I get that part. But why do we need 30 days? What's it going to cost us in the immediate, How are you going to pick the delegates that would attend?
Yeah, that's what I'm actually very interested in. How
looking at the confab, what is the agenda? Do you get? If they do it right, it's a smart move on the part of government. If they do it right.
Yeah.
Because they get to, and they need to be smart and must not seclude people based on party lines. You need Nigerian youth, regardless of their party leanings, and hope that those ones too will be interested in putting Nigeria first, and a youth confab with the mandate, to maybe come up with a master plan, that would help the youth bring their skills to bear on this country.
Yeah, we'll see.
A country that does not carry its youth along will not grow. There's no way, because again, if they're totally removed from what's happening in government, when their time comes, they probably just won't know how to handle
it.
this thing. So let's see how it goes. Let's see what the mandate will be, what the brief will be. But yeah, but I just want to find out how they're going to set it up, and hopefully if it's not going to be another jamboree.
Okay, now moving on from that, still talking about the, Nigeria at 64. So a few people have had a few things to talk about Nigeria's independence. It's always a nice time for people to, to air their views. And one of the views that I feel that we should talk about is former vice president and former continuous presidential candidate of the PDP, where he lamented the political situation in the country, saying that Nigeria could slide into a one-party system. And the funny thing is that there are a lot of things that this man says that I do not agree with. But on this one, I think I agree with him on it. And I don't know why that is happening. I don't think that it is even good for the ruling party. But there's almost no opposition anymore. There's so much rancor in the PDP. There's so much rancor in the Labour Party. Every other party is just clueless. So I don't know where we're heading to, but I think I agree with him on this. Could he also be a part of the issues that maybe all the other parties have or had? I'm not going to exonerate him. It's possible he's part of the PDP. As an elder statesman, you would expect that maybe he should have a better hold on the things happening in the party as their presidential candidate for God knows how many times. However, the honest truth is that it's looking like there might be no opposition after all.
Okay. What I going to say about Alhaji Abubakar Atiku's fears or talk is that it's laughable at best.
Okay.
And it also shows how selfish politicians are. It's Nigeria's independence, and your biggest fear is losing out political relevance by saying Nigeria might fall into a one-party state. Whose job is it to make sure she doesn't? You're more or less the leader of the biggest opposition party in Nigeria. I remember when the PDP would tell us, they're going to rule Nigeria for 60 years. But they did for 16.
They actually did say that.
Yes.
Wow.
And they did for 16. And after 16 years, they found it hard to take over again. And you're here lamenting. Instead of building bridges. Instead of bringing back all the people who are disgruntled. Instead of ensuring that Nigeria has a vibrant opposition, you are complaining about what those ones are doing right. Because they must be doing something right for members of your party to be joining them. They must be doing something right in the political field. I'm not even talking about governance now.
Mm-hmm.
So, of all the things that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar could bring to the fore on Nigeria's 64th birthday, it's about a one-party state. Whose fault is that? Take a look in the mirror, sir. Whose fault is it? Have you really, really mended faces with your party members since the last elections? The reconciliation committee that was set up, are they done with their work? Have they really achieved any form of reconciliation? Do you expect to do the same thing over and over again and get a different result? Nigeria needs a powerful opposition. Or oppositions in the case of Nigeria. But no. Everybody's busy putting their own selfish interests first. Everybody. Including you and me. So don't come and be complaining about Nigeria degenerating or falling into a one-party state. When you that have the power and the wealth and the network, you're not doing the things that would ensure that we have a vibrant opposition. The states that the PDP controls outrightly, how well are they being governed? How well can you build on that to show Nigerians what they're missing? Do you understand? Like in the whole of the Southwest, there are 2 states directly under the control of the PDP. In the South, they have a couple of them.
But like, what do they have to show for it?
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you need to be saying things like, in the places where the PDP has power, we have done more than any APC government can do.
I don't think they consider one.
So what is the problem about the one-party state when the one that you are given? It's like the talent, the story of the talent in the Bible. That they gave you talent and you went to bury it. And you're not blaming the master that gave you one talent. The master knew now. He knew that you were not going to use the talent properly. So as for me, I think it's very sad that on the 64th anniversary of Nigeria's independence, this is what Alhaji Atiku has been quoted to have said.
I get your point.
And that's the fulcrum of his drive, which is just politics. Look, I'm not going to do free work for the opposition because we should be paid for consultancy on those things now. But I would gladly work on the opposition party side, so that Nigeria just has a vibrant opposition. And because what that does for you is that for every critique that you put out, for every loophole that you point out, the person you are hitting hard has to quickly adjust or show you that they're already adjusting or they had that in view. And at the end of the day, who benefits? The people. The people.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the honest truth is maybe it wasn't the time that he said what he said, but it's true. It is true. Where we're going.
That's not the do you know the sad part? Do you think Nigerians really care? I know some people have this, I hate APC thing going on. But if the same APC delivers on virtually all campaign premises or most of them, they do not care.
People will not even care
to be honest with you, if it was a Peter Obi presidency that we're under now, and power increases the way it has increased, I don't care. If it was an Atiku presidency, or who else was a serious contender? Kwankwaso.
Okay, Kwankwaso.
Those to me are the only serious presidential contenders. Sorry if I didn't mention your name. I don't take you serious as a presidential contender.
Wow.
I don't. So for me, if for instance, any of those people, or even the Tinubu that we're under now, comes out after 2 years to say, in 2 years, I have grown Nigeria's GDP to XYZ. In 2 years, I have created X number of jobs. I have made X number of roads, fixed existing ones, and created new roads and bridges. Fixed all the dams and built new ones, or are building new ones. Increase power generation, security, education, gets a total revamp, health. Do you think that people care? As much as you still want to play politics, we hate this person. The bottom line is you want your country to be better. That's the bottom line. So 1-party state or 10-party state, what's good? What good is a multi-party state if Nigerians are still suffering?
They're still suffering. Doesn't make any sense. I get your point. Okay, so moving on from that. Please fix your microphone. Please, so moving on from that quickly, we're still talking about people and comments that a lot of people have made. Another presidential candidate definitely had something to say today, as Mr. Peter Obi says that Nigeria needs rescue urgently, or else it will fall into serious decay. And my issue with that is that at times a lot of these people seem to, a lot of what we do as opposition in Nigeria is more of pointing out what the issues are, but we never ever put up solutions. That's where my issue is. Like, okay, so he had some long statement, and Okay, so he said that this exactly, looking for the story, he said, okay, when we compare ourselves to countries that gained independence around the same time, before or after us, Nigeria stands as a nation in decline, urgently in need of rescue from decay. On this day, therefore, we must make a solemn commitment to build a nation that is truly independent from the state capture that has dragged it into failure and keep its people in suffering. And I'm like, okay, so what does this, like, what's the point of this? Do you understand? Like, what's the point of the statement?
Oh, well, Mr. Peter Obi has basically expressed himself as expected of an opposition leader. Was a presidential candidate last time out. That was about 2 years ago. And it still remains one of the strongest political people out there. There's really a problem with this microphone.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with the fact that he is one of the strongest political. My issue is, we basically we had talked about having opposition and pointing out the ills and maybe things that could be done that could be changed effectively. However, okay, Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. We're very quick to talk about things and cry doom and all that and talk about it. But in this statement, maybe I don't know, it doesn't say anything. There's nothing new.
Well, doesn't have to be new. Some messages have to be repeated and harped upon and projected. And I think that's what Mr. Peter Obi has done. I think that he's doing a better job of playing the role of opposition. Not exactly what a lot of us would expect, but kudos to him for being present. He's, although come across as being selective at times, which is a fact, but yes, he has stayed relevant and he has tried to stay on top of issues. You know, it's still a long walk, to 2027, but most of the things that you're hearing about now and seeing is heavily wrapped around 2027. And what it means is that the current government has less than 2.5 years to put the chestnut, as I say, out of the fire. Like, they have less than 2.5 years to convince Nigerians that they need another 4 years to finish the work that they started. If you're doing like a redirect of Nigeria's resources and income and restructuring Nigeria along the existing laws and also bringing in new laws, you need to do it in a way that Nigerians see it and feel it positively, Because, to be honest, if you were to conduct an election this Saturday and ask all three of these men to contest, I'm not sure how it will go. I'm not sure. Except we get a different name in the heart.
In the ring, yeah.
So kudos to Mr. Peter Obi for, staying on these matters. I just wish that it would be more general in his approach and continue to highlight the things that are wrong, but also need to prefer solutions.
That's why my issue
is. It's not enough to criticize or critique without preferring solutions.
It's not new. The gist you're talking about now is not new. It's not like as if there's gist that has never been heard before, or we all don't know what is plaguing our country. That's where I'm coming to. Anyway, moving on from that, I'm still talking about today and Nigeria's independence. People decided to protest. A few people actually decided to protest. However, it doesn't look like the protest is gaining so much ground. I would have thought that there were a lot of standstills. around Lagos, Abuja, for the past couple of, I think since 2020, I'm not sure there's been really any major protest that has really happened in Lagos State. Anyway, but however, there was protests in Lagos State. They were under the Ikeja Bridge. They were moving to the Gani Fawemi Park. And in Lagos was where Mr. Ayele Sowore, former presidential candidate, was actually also cited. They're doing the Fearless October protest. I don't know how long that will last. The 10 days that happened in August, that one did not last 10 days. We were all here. I don't know if today is a one-off thing.
No, they said that it's until they get what they want. That's what they said before. So I don't know if they've changed their plans
so
or their
some
strategy.
of the I saw some pictures, and some of the protest demands is that fuel should go back to 197 naira. Newsflash, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think it's a miracle that's gonna happen. They should increase minimum wage. I'm like, are we not in Nigeria? It should be further increased, Dabi. Okay.
The only thing that I like to point out is that we've been a nation of subsidies for so long. Fuel subsidy, power subsidy,
food subsidy,
education, especially tertiary education, and all of that. And it looks like the party is over.
Yeah.
However, subsidies are not exactly a bad thing if done properly. I think we need to channel our subsidies to crude, not the byproduct of it. We need to channel our subsidies to agriculture. Picture, because if you subsidize crude, for instance, diesel and PMS will become more affordable for transporters to ship products from the farms to the market and to your tables, to your kitchens, then your tables. That's one. Two, if you subsidize agriculture, tractors are sold, or we need to start assembling or manufacturing our own tractors. We can't, it's capital flight when we keep going out to import everything. So if you subsidize agriculture and push for more mechanized farming, and you build silos and subsidize the cost of storage, do you understand? In a year and a half, a year plus, we will feel the direct impact, as against just dumping money into some people's pockets all in the name of fuel subsidy.
I agree.
That's the way I see it. I think that's one of the things that we really need to.
So basically,
we need to protest for and ask for, but in protesting and saying
let's be realistic.
We have joined the global market now. It's already done with the removal, and like someone pointed out, I think President Tinubu just set himself up on the day of his inauguration. President Tinubu set himself up. The budget for subsidy was going to end the next month.
Time. Yeah, why didn't you just wait?
You should have let Nigerians know. This budget.
Thank you.
Like this.
Remember, I said it because we're actually all gearing up for next month, and then game over.
I sadly have inherited this, but I will gladly tell Nigerians, as your president, that in the next 1 month, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, you should have at least given us that 1 month.
I would require at least 2 years to do something tangible to bring the cost down. It might not come down to this price, but we'll do everything we can. In 2 years, if you invest heavily in CNG conversions, in 2 years, but they said, Nigeria was on the brink of collapse. Then why say subsidy is gone when you know that it wasn't captured in the budget beyond the following month?
Exactly. What I'm still saying that I'm still holding that grudge, because what we were told was that subsidy was going to be till June. But anyway, I'm saying that. So there were protests in Lagos, protests in Abuja. In fact, some protesters were tear gassed in Abuja. There was no protest in Kano State, as it was reported that everybody just went about their normal activities. There were protests in Port Harcourt. However, thugs actually hijacked that protest as well. That's also one of the issues when it comes to protests.
According to reports by media outlets covering the Port Harcourt protest, the thugs were chanting and threatening to beat any journalist that tried to record what they were doing. And they said that they don't want protest. Like, you see, like, it's like you're protesting that you don't want protest. That one in itself is laughable, but let's leave that for now.
I was going to say that.
I want to see, like, if you look into the Port Harcourt situation, who's behind all of this?
Yeah.
Like, who's sponsoring? You know, talks don't just go out. You know? They have some person somewhere that's paid them or instigated them to hit the streets. You know, so in Port Harcourt, that's what happened. However, still, I'm saying that if there's ever going to be some kind of protest in Nigeria, it won't be this Shores and people.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
they can come and hijack onto it like it did at the last one, you know. But it's not them because, for instance, Shore had done a TikTok live where he was talking about how, that the people in diaspora should raise more money for him so that he can do more protests and everything. And that's why the next protest, he was going to ensure that he added diaspora voting as one of their demands. Okay? Now, guess what? That is now one of their demands.
Oh, yes, it is.
To me, it sounds like some kind of horse trading. But maybe I don't know. However, there's not only one way to get diaspora voting going. You can still use the current structure. For someone that owns Sahara Reporters, that has a massive platform like Sahara, and so for someone who, you know, is very vocal, you can actually sponsor a bill. You can do a whole lot of things with the people in the diaspora. But again, like we said the last time when we discussed it here, don't assume that diaspora is only your people in America.
Yeah.
Because when people talk diaspora, I laugh at them. You're talking about Nigerians in the diaspora. They can, yes, if they get a chance to vote, they can actually tilt elections one way or the other. You forget that the people in Ghana, Nigerians in Ghana, that's diaspora.
That's right. The people in Benin Republic,
Niger,
they're all diaspora as well. You know,
Sudan.
For me, my issue with this is that I'm not saying anybody should not protest. However, I'm not a protest kind of person. I don't agree with it most of the time. Most, not all.
I was.
Most of the time, I don't agree with it. But my issue with it is that let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Let our demands be realistic. And I think that's one of the major issues with most of the protests that has been happening in the last couple of years in Nigeria. They have not been realistic. You will say that the president should resign. Fuel is going back to 197 naira. Let's be realistic. Those things are not going to happen. They're not going to happen. So, and that's, I feel that even the government you're protesting against, for them to take you seriously, you have to come with demands that make sense, that are logical, that, okay, then we can sit down and talk about, okay, what is the issue here? How can this, and not just only protest, it's time to get solutions in this matter.
Never in the history of the world have you actually had a government that knew it all and did it all. So protesting is not a bad thing.
It's not the problem. Let's just have sense.
If you don't
let's have sense.
Break the laws in your process. I don't like violent protests. Protesting is good because if you use it to send out a message to the government, you use it to show them where they are going wrong and the things that they have neglected. You know, as developed as Lagos is, I've been to some places in the last couple of weeks, and you're like, is this Lagos? Oh, yeah, they are doing this new bridge around the Ikeja. We see that, we get that. Oh, they're fixing up the Koyi axis, or they're fixing up Ikeja, or they're fixing up Ajangbadi. I get that. But there are still some parts within the metropolis that
there's nothing to write home about.
And some of them are state roads. Some of them are local government roads. So there would never be a perfect government. Never. That's why I brought that up. So, but imagine if some people somewhere use their platform or their protest to point government in the right direction.
Right
to
direction.
Say, these are some of the things that we expect of you. I would have wanted like this youth confab that the president talked about to be about agenda setting also for the youth to actually come together, your youth, to come together and say, you know what, these are the real issues. One of the biggest issues, I'm not going to lie, you might not believe, is police brutality.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a big problem. You know, the things that led to the NSAS protests are all back. They're all back. Now, this is not to knock the Nigerian police force generally, but there are still some very bad eggs.
Oh, there's still some very bad eggs. But kudos to them. At least we're at a point where, to some extent, some people they're being questioned. Some people's actions are being called to question immediately. There's an investigation going on about set of policemen that have extorted money from corps members.
Isn't that as disgraceful as they come?
Corps members. I used to think that corps members were like free from a lot of things. Once you have like that cap in front of your car, or you're wearing like your khaki, they just allow you just go. You get. But however, police have changed it to something. It turned into something else. So you do understand my point? Like, we were not this 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. We didn't have this kind of response from the police 5 years ago. We've seen how people have been derobed and demoted for some of these things.
Instantaneously,
so we're getting somewhere. We're not where we should be. However, let's just be realistic with our demands.
Another thing that this youth confab should be looking at is funding for business startups and all of that.
Yeah.
Grants and loans. We already have the student loan in place. It is working. So far, so good. But now, what about
when you're out of school?
Out of school, people.
Entrepreneurship and all that.
And that's why it now leads me to the next thing, education. A total revamp of the Nigerian educational system. Mm-hmm. Let's stop using all these old textbooks. We really need to declare a state of emergency. Someone is in computer science and you're still doing MS-DOS, while the kids in private primary schools are already coding.
They're coding now. Who has time for that one?
So we need a total rejig, because it is those skills that will attract funds for these young Nigerians, mm-hmm. that would also grow your IGR and create more employment.
Exactly.
There was a point where Nigeria became the hub for young in IT. Kenya stepped up their game. Ghana is doing very well in that regard. We know that India is miles ahead of a lot of people. But shouldn't we build on that?
Build on it. It's funny. Anyway, the Nigeria police have the FCT.
Sports.
Oh, okay. The FCT police have denied attacking protesters in Abuja, saying that they only took proactive measures to prevent looting.
Yeah, we also know that the last protest up north was dangerous, was volatile. Mm-hmm. Lives were lost, properties destroyed and damaged and carted away. I remember the image of people destroying, young Nigerians destroying a youth center that was built.
Yeah, or they were destroying roads, and they had to be going into people's houses to pack out stuff.
And they were taking off manhole covers.
Yeah.
And the police station signboards.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Anyway, moving on from that quickly, just wanted to point this out as former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, has denied any form of corruption allegations that have been leveled against him by the State House of Assembly. According to an interview that he made, he said that he's going to swear by the Quran, and that if he really had this much allegations, why is not the graft agencies after him, which ICPC, makes sense. It actually does make sense.
My own take is that if you understand how Muslims revere the Quran, you will know that that's him going all the way to say, you know what, I am ready to do anything to prove that I am innocent. You know what shocks me about the whole Kaduna scenario? Like, it beats every form of logic and imagination. This man was governor for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Some members of his government are in this current government.
Yes.
His deputy governor
is
the deputy governor
Yeah.
of this new governor, Ubasani. So you would see that there was some kind of smooth transition. It was supposed to be the same family. What happened?
Only God knows. At
What
this
went
point,
wrong?
It's going to be very interesting to
Then
know.
people will now say, one place is not Lagos. Look, you must go and study the Lagos model.
Yeah.
Because it's working.
It's working. Definitely is working.
All these distractions, I feel that it always affects governance.
It does. It definitely does.
And if they really do have evidence, they should serve him papers
Why are you
and
dragging
take him to court.
it? Exactly.
It's been going on for about
too
a year
long.
now.
For too long. Definitely. Moving on to Katsina. Katsina has said that making it mandatory for genotype testing before marriage. So they're saying that they're trying to completely eradicate sickle cell anemia in the state. So the state, for you to go and do a court wedding, they're saying that they're making it mandatory to do a test. So they would not marry you in the state. If
There's a lot to unpack on that. First things first, I say kudos to the Katsina state government for coming up with this. I like it. The church has been doing something in this line for years.
Mm-hmm.
Not all churches, though. But a lot of Nigerian churches have always
they
insisted
actually
on HIV, AIDS test, and a couple of other tests. Now, that state must, the test, the genotype test must be standardized and from only recognized labs. Because, look, you can't put it past people to...
Please, I was even going to ask, what happens to people that give birth without getting married? What happens to those ones?
That's one angle, but we're talking about marriage. You get? So, and this is one way of tackling it, like saying, if you're sure you really want to get married, you must bring this as part of your test. I think they need to include other tests. For me, one of the most important tests is the fertility test also. It helps. It's not mandatory, but if they can, it helps. It helps a lot of young couples or even older couples going through things. If you had that from the get,
information from the get,
at least you know how to tackle it and know how to get a solution to it.
I hope that doesn't bring up the idea of a lot of stigmatization.
Well, I can't rule out how people would pervert this or not. But that will not stop me from preferring such a solution. The reason why I said that is because, from experience, you find out that it's a deal breaker for a lot of people.
A lot of people.
So at times, isn't it better that it's, you know what you're getting into?
From the get. Okay, moving on from that quickly before we go. Nigeria's Director General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Kemi Nadab, has now emerged as the new ECOWAS immigration chairperson. Congratulations to her. So moving on, let's do a bit of sports quickly before we step out. Nigeria's former coach, Finidi George, has now opened up on why he did not succeed as Super Eagles coach. So according to him, he said that one of the things that he wanted to do while he was coach was that he wanted to open the camp early, especially when with the time that the players were coming in, the leagues had already closed. So he was hoping that the camp would be open earlier, and he was like that the NFF had agreed, only for them to come back and say that players are on vacation. So a lot of players did not show up. The ones that showed up late, and that no matter the tactics you have, if you do not prepare properly, it's not going to work.
I think I kind of agree with Finidi. You need time, especially as a new coach. You need time to introduce the boys to your own style of management and tactics and all of that. But I know that the NFF, they're usually driven by cost. Like, they're always looking at, instead of having 2 weeks camp, this guy wants to have 1 month. Do you get? But looking at the result that a 1 month camp will give you as against a result of a 2 month camp, don't worry, haven't they been played together before? It doesn't really matter. That's some of people. That's what some of the people they're talking. I'm just mimicking them. That's what they would have thought or said. But if it hurts that a good coach like Finidi, just had one of the shortest national team careers ever. But at least his own is longer than the one that was employed last month that never resumed.
That never resumed at all. I'm still talking about sports. Cameroonian Football Federation chief Samuel Eto'o, who has been in the news for a lot for some wrong reasons, is in the news again for another wrong reason, as he has been banned from attending national teams matches, male or female, whatever age range, for 6 months after violating FIFA's disciplinary regulations. Now it's crazy because just a few weeks ago he was fined, I think, about $200,000 for an ethics violation as well. There was also the story of match fixing. However, there was not enough evidence to that. But there's so much since he became the chairman of the football federation. There's been a lot of controversy around him.
If you understand how football or sports works in Africa and in the world at large, don't be quick to criticize Eto'o, because there are things that happen behind the scenes that when you are privy to it, you would throw your hands up in despair, like, oh my God, is this possible? Yes, it is. But I feel for him because, a lot of people have been clamoring for former players to be involved in management.
Yeah.
Especially in Africa. Like, give Kano a chance, give Eto'o a chance, give JJ a chance.
But we've seen everybody. A
few of the former players have not covered themselves in glory when they were given a chance to manage at the state level, and him now at the national level. But I don't know. I still know that there are also other factors that affect some of these guys.
Okay, finally, before we go, Barcelona and Spain legend Andre Iniesta is set to announce his retirement from football, at the age of 40.
Which football?
Football now.
Is he still playing?
Yes.
Where? Iniesta, why you are wasting our airtime? Where does he play?
I don't know.
Exactly my question. And that's the answer.
But he's officially announcing. He had never announced before.
No, amazing player in his day. That year.
So it's not his day anymore.
How can he be 40 years old is his day? Is he Messi or Ronaldo?
How is it?
He's way past it, because if he ever had it, we've not heard about him.
He doesn't have it anymore.
We've not heard about him.
He doesn't have it anymore.
The days of Xavi and Iniesta, it will strike fear in anybody's heart.
Yeah, it is.
And, Xavi has already gone on to become an amazing coach.
Yeah.
Winning several laurels within a short period. And you would have thought that his partner, not strike now, his midfield partner, would have done the same. So Iniesta.
I'm sure he has plans. We'll hear his
Iniesta,
plans.
on your own. But congratulations for a career that was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, he definitely did have a beautiful career. So on that note, that is all we're able to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of The Boom Bar. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.